into Champion Select, we are going to see that blue bird removed immediately.
Everett has been creative in their side choice. I believe they chose blue side in one of the games in series number 1, but we're on the red side hype train here in the promotion tournament. 6.8 is still the patch. 8.6. Why am I thinking of 6.8? Back to front. Patch 8.6. We still have
years, Bubba.
the same situation that was going on in the playoffs, so no 8.7. Which is what we're seeing on live. And no Morgana first pick that is evolving into a staple of this meta.
Yeah, and it feels like, you know, when you've got a long day like today, you get an isolated meta actually coming out as well. So we've seen a lot of Morgana priority, a lot of Morgana success. Not necessarily in the last game of our last series, but that was Griffin rolling over the top of Kongdu Monster. And that is going to see the ban. So Talia going to be taken away, and Kongdu, they're going full mid lane against Everett.
That's what happens with Sun. He does shoulder all these bans. It does free up someone like Hybrid to really get what he wants. Will they ban away the Xin Zhao as the final ban? We saw it earlier, wasn't impressive, but has been Kuma's best champion performance-wise. Sejuani his other go-to. On the blue side so far, it's just purely targeted at Sun.
Yep, Roach is going to have his Scion removed as well. Did actually look decent in the laning phase when they played their first match. Now, final ban for Kongdu. And is it going to be the Zoe? Do they just go all in on the mid lane bans? I have a feeling it won't be, as the Swain has to be dealt with.
But then if we see a Kai'Sa ban, is it a first pick Zoe on the side of Kongdu is my wonder.
Or is it the Olaf? Because the jungle pool has certainly not been touched at all. Skarner is another one of those options, but feels like a little bit more of one of the ones over the side of Griffin, and that Olaf is going to be taken away. So you mentioned the Kai'Sa certainly is an option, as Rakan immediately taken for Secret.
Now, Everett winners have played against Xayah Rakan and have their own strategies against a lot of these lanes. They went Lucian Braum in that particular game and won bot lane pretty hard. That was Hybrid and Lucifer. The support is not playing this game. But Kai'Sa is straight up available, and some people it's straight up busted. We're still learning a little bit purely about her power level. Will be taken when available.
Yep, locked in there. So the Kai'Sa once again for Hybrid. And that is going to be on. A lot of priority given to Wu Fei's champion on the top side of the map. And in these tank battles, Wu Fei does look better when he's playing something a little bit more conventional. But you're right, the Lovers duo is certainly going to be locked in here. And Gangplank for Roach. Kongdu feeling pretty good about their first round of picks.
Still picks that can be beaten, but I take your point. When you see the Gangplank and it's already in a comfortable lane, unless we're seeing support Orin happening on the red side, a pick that we haven't seen in quite a while. So far, Kongdu will like how their first round draft has gone, as Everett looking to close out the first round. Could take a mid laner and start banning them. Wait and see what the decision is.
Yeah, jungler also another option here, as we are going to have that Zac-Ornn combination once again. Long range engage, going to be the setup here for Everett winners.
And it's going to be, it seems, as many tanks as you can pack into a team comp. And running around the backside will be this Kai'Sa, who already has, like you mentioned, a robust and also very far initiating front line that can cause a lot of ruckus in the front line and give her coverage to do her things. So far, Hybrid looking in a good spot, support and mid lane. Whatever it's looking for in the second round, and trying to take away all the first round junglers from the side of Kongdu Monster.
Well, Taric is actually going to be the ban away here against Aegis, or Aegis, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Always very confusing. We'll have to talk to him about how he wants us to talk about it. Trundle going to be taken away as well, so the next tier picks as far as the junglers on 8.6 are concerned, taken away from Raze.
I'll call it Aegis because we have the item, but then we have Aegis buying Aegis and it gets a bit confusing.
Yeah. We could say Aegis buying Aegis, and then we can say both, and then we're catering to everyone, right? Braum going to be taken away, though.
Big pick for Aegis, and Aegis' Taric was his most played, so I guess it is banning away Comfort. Alistair has already been an MVP pick today from Lehens in our previous series. Going to be locked in. Another beefy frontliner that can go in. You look at this team comp and say, maybe not Zoe if you're on the side of Kongdu Monster.
Yeah. Please, goodness gracious me, no. 15 seconds to go, though, as Kongdu Monster wanting to lock in their last two picks here. We're looking for a jungler and a mid laner. Kongdu
Jarvan available if they want to go that way. That was an old favorite of Raze, and a lot of people
still there too.
Running out of people to ult in some ways, but of course, if you get late enough in the game and enough damage onto the Xayah, anything's possible. We'll just go for the early power spike of the Skarner.
Yep, trying to get himself around there, so up against the Zac, probably feeling okay as the Skarner. Secret, what is he going to pick up for Edge here in the mid lane? Certainly a lot of options. Zoe, as you say, still there, but a difficult team comp to play her into. There it is,
trying to
so it's going to be
snowball.
locked in. There we go.
We've got basically the jungle Skarner and the mid lane Skarner. They're very much looking for the power in the first 11 levels. And
wow, the old thought of the Malzahar being picked up into the Zoe.
that's what my prep showed me, that whenever E8 actually had Zoe picked away, they would play through mid lane and try to kill the Malzahar. This is a Zoe that will be kept accountable, because unless you have tabs on the Zac and Malzahar, it's not going to be huge overkill, but it's going to be huge lockdown. That may force the Zoe to have a lot of headaches to contend with.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Single target lockdown on top of all of the AoE CC that they have from everywhere else. It's only the Kai'Sa that's not going to have multiple forms of AoE CC. Whoa, really scary composition from E8W that will be able to dominate if they can get to that mid game that they want to get these skirmishes happening in.
You see 3 to 4 items on the Kai'Sa. You see basically no frontline on the enemy team, and Kai'Sa skips around and people die fast. That's what they're looking for. However, very strong early game. If you're able to get an oppressive vision lead with Skarner and Zoe, how do you ever face check a brush? Because a Paddle Star, a Trouble Bubble, the Skarner ultimate, your death seems pretty insured. There's going to be a lot about playing the map, and they have so many tools to do so. Raze is the strongest Skarner we've seen, the most empowered one, as a Cannon Barrage, a Trouble Bubble, and a whole lot of other help is available to get that Skarner ultimate off.
Yeah, and all of that money that's going to be spent on the QSSs as well is something that's very important when a composition wants to hit item breakpoints around that mid game as well. So you can see the bottom lane Lovers duo versus the Kai'Sa and the Alistar is going to be an exciting one to track. Certainly a lot of options for both of these teams. Kongdu looking like they have a good draft, but on the other side, E8W also looking strong. Guys, let's waste no more time. Let's get into game one. Whoa, I think E8W winners have some more fans in the audience here. It's a little bit stark as far as the amount of people that are here. It's hard to, get off work to come and watch esports all day for all of our Korean fans, but certainly if you're watching this from Korea, come down if you want to.
And credit to any E8W fans who either stayed here the entire time or came back to the stadium to watch their team, because of course E8W lost in our first match, and the start time for this game was not going to be
dubious at best,
formalized. Yeah. Usually we have the fixed start times, and I'm sure a lot of our new fans are very much looking at and not understanding that we have a lot of fans who will make the journey here to the Sangam E Stadium and want to just watch their one team play rather than sit through a whole match day, which was the same back in the best of 3 days in NA and EU.
Yeah.
So because of that, the start time was up in the air. 2-0 from side of Griffin wasn't necessarily the fastest, because game 1 did drag on, but game 2 a lot faster. And here we are with the third and final best of 3 of the day. The only time you get 3 best of 3s out of Korean League of Legends in a single day.
You can see the push very, very strong here from Kongdu Monster early on in this bottom lane. They left the Skarner on his own, wanting to make sure that they can get as much priority down here as possible. So many different schools of thought. I've actually found it really exciting watching the bottom lane meta develop as far as how you're going to start things off and the leashes for the jungles and things like that.
I do like that it's not mindless, because often the level 1 meta just becomes both teams matching at the same
it's like this
group
is the
thing.
best thing to do, and we've got to cookie cutter it every
Again,
game,
like I've already mentioned it once today, but at Worlds last year, it was, you better damn rush yourself to the second brush. If you get in there, you win the lane. If you don't, well, you both find each other and disengage and nothing happens. Whereas now it's a lot of, what is the cost in terms of the leash? What is the cost in terms of the predictable pathing if you don't offer a leash? And as you mentioned, it's been fun to see.
And is it the jungler that we want to empower, or is it the bottom lane that we want to empower as well? As Raze, he's going to go aggressive here, but we'll notice that it's only the Krug camp that he can pick up for himself.
So he has priority on the Malzahar early before 6 and the ability to all in. So that's why you see the ability of Raze to push up. And like we said, he's a pretty damn happy lobster. He can push up, and really nobody wants to fight him in this early game.
Yep, having a great time. Edge as well looks to be skipping around this lane pretty happily. Already a really decent CS lead, but Malzahar in his current state isn't necessarily a lane-dominant champion in the early few levels, so it is an understandable thing to have Sun get pushed in. Have to wait until that level 6 mark, as I was talking about QSSs needing to be purchased from Everett Winners. Also needs to be purchased for Kongdom Monster as well if anyone wants to stay alive with that Nether Grasp around. So maybe we'll reach some parity with all the QSSs that will be picked up.
QSS timing on the Zoe versus Malzahar matchup that dominated the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season is always to be negotiated. Someone like Crown would always go into the Lost Chapter or the Tier and then go into the QSS, whereas in a game like this, where it could potentially be as early as level 6 instant ping ultimates coming through from the Malzahar, you can understand both schools of thought.
Yeah. Always found it very interesting, as Raze is going to be able to take down this Krug camp pretty comfortably. You can see Wufei is just hanging out underneath his turret, and Roach is having the time of his life. Klepto gangplank will just be getting to pretty disgusting levels of power this game, if left unchecked. Kuma knows where he wants to find this, though, as there's no portal jump. Has to use the flash to get out of the way. That wasn't a Spell Thief either, as still damage coming in. Trouble Bubble is there, so not a lot of follow-up, as Sun takes a fair bit of damage back as well. Loses all of his mana at the same time. We'll be able to teleport back in, as he does have the Unsealed Spellbook.
A lot of nuanced things happen in that engage. He was level 3 when he actually channeled the Elastic Slingshot and hit 4 mid-air, so couldn't increase the range or damage as he was in the mid-air. Speaking of being mid-air.
Yep, there's a Grand Entrance coming down as Hybrid taken down to half health, but otherwise isn't too worried, and Secret going to disengage pretty immediately, but that is some good damage laid down on top of the AD carry for Everett Winners.
Nice little trade by Aegis, who just headbutted away Soul and allowed them some free damage onto Secret. That was how that particular damage trade went down. There were nerfs towards the Zyra Khan synergy on patch 8.6, the Deadly Plumage not getting insane stacking value if used on the same target, or as easily onto the same target. That means that still going to be a happy 2v2 laning phase for Zyra Khan, but maybe slightly less oppressive than it was on patch 8.5.
Yeah, of course, Battle Dance as well, not going to give you as much ridiculousness.
It's a word. You invented it.
I did. I like it.
Also doesn't really like the laning phase, but that's not what he's for. This is a nice double knockout.
Yeah, really nice double knockout. Lots of damage comes in there, but Aegis, once again, going to be able to help out. Hybrid doesn't really want to pay too much attention to this lane anymore. Wants to probably go home, get some of that health back. He's just trying his best. I'm just mixing up the naming convention here way too often, but trying his best to utilize that little heal to get things working, and he's going to hold on to this minion wave so that Everett Winners will be able to get this wave shoving back forward and not lose any of the damage on the turret.
You see the pain of laning as a 525 range AD carry against Rakan, as the Grand Entrance range is catching the Kai'Sa more than he would like. Kai'Sa has gone for the press the attack this game. If you remember back to the performances from Prey on the Kai'Sa, and how could you forget in the LCK final just a few days ago, the only time he actually shifted was he shifted over to press the attack from something like Fleet Footwork when he wanted to really double down on all the tanks that were being dropped in some of those games in that particular series. Whereas here it's press the attack against a pretty squishy lineup on the side of Kongnu Monster, so a little bit less safety than what the option like going in somewhere else into the Keystones could have provided. So it could have gone Fleet Footwork. It was nerfed. You know, people do question the value depending on what you're trading against, but to go the more risky choice of the press the attack.
Yeah, and he's going to go back, grab himself a couple of long swords as well as the pickaxe here at the same time. So it looks like Death's Dance start could be coming in for Hybrid here as well. They've been paying attention to our last series.
If you remember, a lot of people against Zyra Khan as the season went on was taking Ninja Tabi Rush on basically every champion. His race is level 6, but finding 3 people.
Yeah. He isn't going to be able to get the Impale. Really working where he wants to. Elastic Slingshot gets Kuma out of dodge with the use of his Blast Cone there as well. Edge heads on over, gets a Control Ward into that brush.
Death's Dance might allow him to drop the Ninja Tabi Rush and just go straight into a damage item in the Death's Dance, and also reduce the damage from the Paddle Star, which is happy.
Yep, keeps himself alive in lane as well. Has been copping a lot of harassment from Soul and Secret, so I can understand why Hybrid wants to go for a little bit more of a defensive choice. Kuma's going to hang out here. Level 7 is available. Yeah, he's just going to steal that one away. All too easy for the Skarner. A lot of respect being given here from Everett Winners in this early game. 8 minutes ticks up, and we've got about a 1,000 gold lead for Kongdu just passively as this game goes on in through the laning phase.
I'm sure they can hear their coach's words, ringing through their ears of, it's Skarner and Zoe, you need to be respectful around level 6 and stop the snowball.
Yeah.
Does mean the objective snowball, and like you mentioned, the CS snowball will start increasingly going the way of Kongdu Monster, but another losing the minimum situation for a team on the day.
Yeah. Malzahar now able to get the shove out forward in the mid lane, so the Zoe will have to head back home. So some respite gained, the Everate winners bottom lane. Kuma
still level 5.
Yeah, does want to find something here as Raze takes a lot of damage, and there goes the Killer Instinct from Hybrid. Another couple of auto attacks are needed. There it is. First blood is going to go over to the Kaiser of all people, and double buffs on top of it. Disaster for Kongdu right now.
And Raze thought he was completely unaccountable, but the Killer Instinct surprised him. Plastic Slingshot, Killer Instinct, death onto the Skarner. Now the laning phase, that was what they were heavily targeting with all this siege bot side, is going to go even more the way of Everate winners.
Yeah, and Hybrid's going to go back. Vamp Scepter could be an option, as now Kuma could be in trouble yet again. Remember, he's got the Bloblets, but has to use the Flash to get out of the way. There was a teleport on Sun that could have kept him alive, but the portal jump comes in, and if that Trouble Bubble had landed, I think that Sun could have been in a lot of trouble, but thankfully for him, he's able to get himself back, and we'll go back home now. Try and grab himself some items. 12 CS is going to be the advantage, and Death's Dance is so close for Hybrid as well, as he just went home.
The tides of this game seem to be reading Kongdu Monster, so giving up a kill, a first blood, extending how long the bot lane turret will be up, because it was already starting to get pretty low on the bot side. Those are the costs for Raze to have to kind of get over the little hump that they've created for themselves, and that was the first time in the first 10 minutes the script had gone away. Just seemed like when it was level 5 on the Zac, and we saw he was actually more than 2 camps away from level 6. He was very low on experience. It was one of those things where he thought there was no way he could go down, but Killer Instinct proccing off your allies' hard CC was the big win there for Everate.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Edge now does manage to pick up his QSS. It's not going to be invested in here for Sun. He's going straight towards the Archangel Staff as quickly as possible.
You can go Archangel's Banshee Veil, and then you have Banshee Veil and your passive.
Yeah.
And sure, theoretically things go wrong, but you probably got bigger problems in that scenario, so I actually don't mind ignoring QSS if you're the Malzahar.
Well, Hybrid now heading up through the river. Looks like this Cloud Drake could be an option, as Kuma, standing directly on top of the ward, is going to start it.
Don't have a Rage Blade completed. They also are against the Skarner and Zoe, so probably going to do good to show some respect here.
Yep, and they do pull off that Cloud Drake, exactly as you say. Wolves are going to be where Kuma's going to head towards, and now I've got the bottom lane definitely respectfully playing up as Edge. It's another portal jump, doesn't actually have it, still does a lot of damage back. Man, that Paddle Star really starting to hurt, despite having to pick up the QSS.
While there were some relevant nerfs, a lot of it was around wave clear, not necessarily a max range Paddle Star Dream.
It's often the AoE damage as well that was nerfed out as well, so yeah, still going to be chunking the Malzahar if he doesn't have his passive up.
Seems like Hybrid has the gold for Death's Dance, but doesn't know if it's the time to recall. They have no control of bot side. Control ward in the triangle brush and the lane brush. Means that Skarner could be anywhere.
Yep, complete protection for Soul and Secret.
Can see Kuma as well. Right now, no one can actually get to where Raze is and do damage, so the Zac is not going to be a target just yet.
It looks like there could be an option just to brute force this turret. You can see there's the double knock-up from Aegis, but Trouble Bubble not going to land. It's just going to secure the first turret blood here for Kongdu Monster. Looks like they picked up the textbook yet again, Papa. This early game is looking much better than Game 2 against Griffin.
But they didn't read all the instructions, and they missed out on what could have been a 9 or 8 minute turret because of that death they incurred with the Skarner. Still go the same way. Still do take down the turret, so it doesn't extend to 15 or 20 minutes, which was important for Kongdu. How much of a vision-based draft they have. This draft is all about good macro, putting down your control wards, and waiting for Everate to be forced to check. That's where you get the maximum value out of Skarner and Zoe. We certainly haven't seen the maximum value out of Roach, as we've seen no ultimates yet from the game.
Yeah, nothing to come in, but he does have his Trinity Force, and he's been farming up very nicely with the Kleptomancy on top of it, so he'll have a lot of money over Wu Fei. Frozen Heart is done for him, and he can head back towards the bottom side of the map, as the switch is going to come in here for Hybrid and Aegis. Death's Dance, like you say, is done, and there's the dagger on top of it as well. Essence Reaver done here for Soul. He's waiting for 3 items before he becomes very strong, but with the first evolution, Hybrid's feeling pretty fantastic about how hard his Q's hitting.
Thinking about 1,000 gold to finish off the evolution. Still needs the pickaxe to get over the 100 AD. As 80 coming through from the Death's Dance. So probably going to be Berserker's Greaves and Pickaxe as his next purchase. Kuma's trying to, against the run of play, take this Rift Herald. To say it was optimistic was underrating.
Yeah.
Exactly how, against the run of play, that would be when Sun is under his turret and Ornn is doing the farm thing.
We've got another roam over here as Edge. That was very cheeky, but had the QSS if the Nethergrass was going to be popped.
It also would have got deleashed by the return on the ultimate as well, the portal jump. So can't afford to be more disrespectful than you usually see when you're against a Malzahar as the Zoe.
Edge now just hanging out outside of vision here as the Battle Stars will come in, but it's just to clear out the wave for the moment. The Monster actually pushing out towards the top side, and you can see this duo lane. They want nothing to do with it whatsoever. Hybrid grabs those Berserker's Greaves that you were talking about, but this is going to be some damage onto this outer turret on the top side as well as Kongu Monster continue to aggressively push forward. And
it's a bad shot because it's only the Berserker Greaves and no Evolve on the queue with that purchase.
It feels a little bit strange that they opted into going home, but at least only a couple of minions will be lost here by Hybrid.
I believe that was to do with Vision, where they didn't have the ability to actually contest Vision or place it, so they just thought they might as well shop and not die. Pushing through mid lane, here's another low health turret.
Well, Kuma's going to get himself out of the way. Wufei tanking up some Paddle Star damage as Secret comes in. There's still a lot of minions there in the mid lane, and they do take down the turret. Thankfully, little Voidling's doing some work, so answering that first turret blood puts them back into that 1,000 gold mark. Ever8 more than happy to have the gold sitting at around here because they want to be hitting a mid-game where they can just layer all their CC, press their R buttons right, and really do the good work in the team fight scenario.
And you know me well, Atlas. I'm all about records, so I'm looking for the latest first cannon barrage in the game. Because we're 15 minutes in, and
I'd love that.
We haven't heard the sound. We get the sound, so even if it was off-screen, we would have heard it. It hasn't happened yet.
Saving Private Ryan moment hasn't happened. Roach hasn't even gone back to base and pressed the button. His son, he's in a whole host of trouble. Yep, that's going to be an easy one for Edge. The Impale was invested. Raze was wondering whether he needed to use it or not. And now this outer turret should fall down. So Sun, poor positioning there. See what he can actually purchase is Hybrid. He's going to come down.
Okay.
Good elastic slingshot. Kidnap comes back in as well. There's the quickness for Secret. He's going to try and turn it around. As there's the knock-up. Another turret shot is going to come in as the Skarner. He's going to be in a trade of junglers. Remember, this is a 4 versus 3 now, but Ever8 winners at least keep that turret alive.
Secret played that really well. He was able to bait Hybrid to follow him the entire time, and then with the increased range of the Battle Dance, was able to get over the wall to the Xayah. So, disengaged, most of the damage coming through from Hybrid. There was no Q evolve yet, so didn't die, just one isolated barrage. They back away, and the problem here for Ever8 is an amusing one in that they got the mid lane turret, they pushed all the vision forward. It didn't necessarily mean they had eyes defensively, and that allowed Skarner to roll around. The vision was vision they couldn't play around because they found a small moment to get the mid lane turret against the run of play. But largely, it's been map control to Kongu Monster.
Yeah, it's looked very good. Now that QSS has been augmented by Eluden's Echo as well, so Edge is going to be doing a hell of a lot of damage.
Pickaxe picked up, so the Q evolve now there for Hybrid. We've seen much bigger insistence on E-Evolve, Supercharger Evolve, in recent games, but not in this one.
Well, Secret's going to get booped back here. This Kuma's going to follow after him. Aftershock does a little bit of damage, but now the turret is what's under fire. Aegis is going to move up. Hybrid's here as well. Killer Instinct will be available if they do get the CC in. Raze still looking for that Impale to come back off cooldown, so not going to be turning anything just yet, but it will be very soon. So that ultimate will be available, just playing around in the river, Kongu Monster.
See how Kongu are able to push the draft. Feels like we're in Groundhog Day a little bit in terms of a team that is about taking those early sieges and wants to focus on siege and not team fight. They have a backup option. If they fall behind in the siege, this Gangplank is going to be super farmed.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the Kleptomancy. He's got no threat on him by the Ornn and will continue to pile on items. So pushing a side lane, it might not be the Fiora that Roach picked up a win against SKT on, but it still will be a good pick as the game goes on. Waiting to see if that can happen. They haven't got the maximum value out of Skarner Zoe, but they haven't necessarily miswielded it. Speaking of Skarner.
Yep, and another Impale is going to come in. That's a very dead Zac. No Bloblets available. No options here for Ever 8 winners. Kuma, he looked brilliant actually in the first series on the Zac, had some great plays, but this time been left a little bit wanting.
His life kind of sucks. He's got a losing bot lane. His mid lane doesn't have presence. His bot lane is losing as well. So if he tries to put down vision, he will die pretty frequently.
Yep.
I do take your point. He did debut just a month ago in March, so he hasn't necessarily had the most competitive games. But it's a very far cry from his usual Xin Zhao counterpick days when he's jumping on the Zac against a team like Ever 8 has put together. So Kongnu Monster has put together.
Well, Hybrid is clearing out vision where he can, but the outer turret falls on the top side of the map. That's going to go along with the bottom lane outer turret that fell for first turret blood, and now Kongnu with a decent real lead of 3,000. Hybrid looking to go back home. We'll see whether Rage Blade is going to be anywhere near completion. I feel like Recurve is probably all he's going to be able to afford.
Hasn't been in lane long enough to have the Rage Blade out of nowhere. Like you say, it's going to be the Recurve bow. No Drake's claimed this game yet.
Yeah, not quite. And this is the new and improved Cloud Drake as well, so should be feeling okay. As Ever 8 winners are going to be the ones that start this one up.
They've been on the structure games. That's why they haven't been playing around Drake much. Might be a contest here, though, as Kongnu's up.
Yeah, coming in from the spellbook. Zoe going to cancel it, actually, so they're going to give up the Cloud Drake. And Edge not going to spend some time over here. The split-pushing Zoe. Papa, what do you feel?
Kind of more weirded out by the fact that Kuma didn't have Flash for that, I don't believe. Sorry, the Flash, a Smite for that. That was a bit strange, but never mind. The objective was picked up.
I get it.
Zoe on the split push has teleport, but it's on cooldown. So for now, it's going to be the shove in the top side. Getting red side control could continue to represent Baron threat, which spawns now.
Well, Aegis has to use his ultimate here to get out of the way of all of the damage coming in from Kongnu Monster. They're still trying to dive forward. Kidnap's going to grab two underneath, but they do lose their cow underneath their own turret. Finally, a Cannon Barrage does come in as there's a lot of damage onto this outer turret as well. If they get rid of it, a lot more space will be gained. Roach very, very low on health, so it doesn't necessarily feel like the 5v4 that you'd expect from this situation.
359 hit points, already control wards in the enemy red side jungle. Kongnu knows this is another big step towards Baron. If they're able to take it down, it would represent 3 outer turrets down around the 20-minute mark. They'll get it now.
Extra global gold there as well as Roach already back up to half health, and they are going to be able to take that one down. Secret gets himself out with the grand entrance. He's got a QSS built for himself as well, so not a lot of targets on the map here for Sun to focus on.
Can Kongnu Monster correct the mistakes when they were in Game 1 against Griffin just about 2 hours ago and close out what has been another pretty impressive early game? Putting all the parts of the game together, that hasn't been the Kongnu Monster way. They struggled. They are on a 15, a best-of-3 losing streak. Once again, they've set themselves up for something, and they close it. That's been the part that's escaped them.
Yeah, Raze now does have the Impale available, can head towards his top lane, which is exactly why Ever 8 winners back away. Not going to try and push this one down. Thankfully for them, they have opened up the mid lane. So Sun is able to get some forward vision down here. They're able to get the minion wave moving towards the inner turret and keep the pressure on.
Just to see a Rylai's come back for Sun. To me, this is a bit of a zone control move. Not quite a Swain in the mid lane, but the Malzahar being able to spam the Q with the silence and the slow, and in general just control the enemy, is another tool that allows the Kai'Sa to pop off. So they don't need Sun to be a true threat. If he's slowing, silencing, and suppressing people, it's probably enough. And that is cemented by going for something like the Rylai's.
Well, now Hybrid has finished off that Rage Blade, so we're talking about item spikes. We are going to be getting to the Renan's Hurricane pretty shortly, and then he's going to be relatively unable to be killed, going to have a lot of sustain options, as well as having that secondary upgrade on the Supercharger to make him a bit more slippery. Kuma getting himself in here as Secret. He's going to get jumped on. Grand Exit is going to come in, as that was a very cute little use of the Kidnap. Let's Bounce not really being used to great effect there from Kuma.
Still level 10, still significantly behind, about 8 or so camps behind his enemy jungler. To be expected. We talked in draft at length about how incentivized Skarner was to do whatever he wants and live free.
Yeah, it feels like a pretty good game to be a Skarner, as Sun can clear out minion waves very, very effectively now with his couple of items that he has picked up. See whether Leandri's comes in next for him, or what is on the docket. You mentioned a Banshee's Veil. That could certainly be an option as well.
It's a bit strange that we get the Sterix Gage second out of Gangplank. Recently, Trend has been more damage in your Gangplank builds, and he's not against a Camille where he'll be forced to stand and deliver. He's against a Orin that wants to avoid him. So going high damage from Roach, I think would have been the right approach in this game. Something like the Essence Reaver IE.
Yeah, you could have done that. Could have gone Ghostblade as well if you want a little bit more of a comfortable build. Okay. Aegis is going to discover the Rakan at least. Trouble lands and Elastic Slingshot. That was adorable.
Old habits die hard with itemization, and Roach is usually one of our tank role players.
Yeah. Used to being in a losing matchup as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Probably just autopiloting towards that one. Kongdu Monster now setting themselves up the little gank rush. The Void Seeker is going to at least discover Kongdu Monster doing so. Okay, can Kongdu actually capitalize on the lead that they've built? 24 minutes into the game, Ever8 want to try and find a team fight that they can use all of their ultimates in, that they can use all of this CC, create all the space for Hybrid and make things happen. He's currently going home. It looks like the Baron could be the option right now. They get themselves over. They have no idea that this is happening just yet, as they still want to clear out the vision, and they are going to pull off it.
But they played the mind game well. You notice they gave them a good 25 to 30 seconds, said, okay, this is suspicious, and walked up because, again, the enemy team is S+ tier at getting a pick when you don't have vision. Their Baron speed, it's okay. It's not fantastic. Their turn-off Baron, it's decent. Again, it's not fantastic. It's not reliable, like something like an Ornn. So in the end, they play the mathematics. They say, we got a little bit of extra time, then we'll check. And they end up going at precisely the right time to stop the Baron and lose nothing to Ever8 winners.
Yeah, and Kongdu Monster wasting a little bit of time there. They do get vision down in the red side jungle of Ever8 winners for a time, but it has been all cleared out now. Ever8 back with some relative control around the Baron area. Hybrid's going to get pinged as he's going to clear out the ward. We do have Liandry's Torment as being the third item that Sun is going to opt into as well. So you can see the Haunting guys already collected. And that's going to mean the Rylai's and Liandry's synergy that we've seen for so long is going to be up and online for the Malzahar.
And if the Alacrity is there, I believe that is enough attack speed from Hybrid. It's 84% from items, and you can get up to 18%. So we'll wait to see if we see a Supercharger to confirm. But I believe basically within a couple of percentage attack speed if he went down the Alacrity line of the Legends to claim it. Otherwise, the next attack speed item will get him over the edge.
Well, a lot of pings actually going down here as the Mountain Drake is being opted
trading?
into. Yeah, exactly. This is not the trade that you want, though. We saw Ocean for Baron. That certainly ain't a great choice, as Ever8 winners are going to finish off the Mountain Drake. But look, this isn't going down super fast. And you can see Sun, he's already here. Teleport being opted into for Wu-Fei, and he's going to get there well before anyone else. They get the Baron, but can we have the team fight for Ever8? That's a fantastic grand entrance as the red health bars are so low, but it's huge damage. And Wu-Fei gets a perfect ultimate.
Hybrid. 2
already fall as Hybrid is trying to dance around, but he's gone very, very low. Still opting in as the shield is so huge, but it's not enough. Soul just kiting back like a beast, and now Sun, he's trapped, doesn't know where to go. Elastic Slingshot, oh my goodness, he actually gets out as Wu-Fei. He's also going to be the casualty as finally Edge picks one up. Flashing around his Edge, but it's going to be the escape being made from Aegis. But that's Baron and a one-team fight for Kongdu.
Kongdu Monster trades up. Good Baron decision from them to actually go down to too many people on the bot side. When the Wombo engages came in, Hybrid wasn't autoing, and by the time he went in, there was damage to turn on him. Watch the replay. They have to use emergency procedures just to get vision on it. Baron is claimed. It's all about when Hybrid can get involved, because he's got the power to clean up this fight. But by the time he comes in, his front line is super low. And while they start the fight, Soul and Edge have no threat on the backside of the fight. That means that Edge is able to land some good paddle stars as the fight goes on. Hybrid tries to find space, tries to get maximum value out of the Death Stance, but not quite enough. They close him down, and then they would just lamb to the slaughter for the last members of Kongdu Monster.
Yeah, Kongdu playing it out extremely well, and now rocketing themselves to an 8,000 gold lead. As you can see in the picture-in-picture, we've got the inhibitor turret in the mid lane falling down very, very fast. And I said 8,000, that's crept up to 10,000 as the time has gone by. We've got another engage though, nice double knock-up.
Big barrel as well, gets a lot of damage onto Aegis and forces Hybrid out of the fight. That's an inhibitor gone, and we mentioned already that team fight's not exactly what they're looking for. may not be Caitlyn's though, it's pretty close. Their siege and turret taking is good. Trying to get as much of this standing gold as possible.
Yeah, and the Kaiser not really getting the things done that Everett winners wanted them to. Feels like there were just too many things that they wanted to grab in this team composition and gave up on having a laning phase that was going to work out. Kongdu Monster actually looking brilliant as they laned through this game. And despite that first blood not being great, still was okay as Edge pops over. His Zoe has always been so good, but Hybrid wants to try and take him down. Not going to be able to get that plasma shot in there and didn't opt in for Killer Instinct. This could be another inhibitor falling in this one Baron take. Still a minute to go. They've got a siege minion set up, a lot of damage coming in, and they have to respect Edge so much. Another barrel as, okay, that was an impale, immediately comes in. The kidnap means the bloblets are going to come out, but Cannon Barrage is going to make short work of everything. Second inhibitor falls.
Game might just end here.
Yeah, Kongdu looking to try and capitalize. So that's going to be a long time in the death chamber for Kumar. Nexus turrets are falling very, very fast. Aegis, he wants the last-ditch desperation play, and he does have the ultimate available to him.
Minion wave dies, so the game will not end here. Next minion wave comes in, but soon will the reinforcements to Everett. Massive Baron power play. Puts the gold lead up to 12,000 out of nowhere. It was much more manageable, around 5,000 not a few moments ago. Some big purchases coming as well, and Everett winners, the 5th place challenger team. They were on a huge rise. They won game 1 in their earlier series against MVP. The suppression comes in before he's able to use the ultimate. We've seen so many times the Let's Bounce override the Impale throughout the course of spring season. That time it doesn't work out as intended. It doesn't quite end the game, but we're damn close.
Yeah. Kongdu Monster finally looking like they're a team that knows how to close out a game. Infinity Edge feels brilliant. Now Everett winners setting themselves up to try and get a fight here. Hybrid's going to be able to take down Sol. That's a great first pick, as now they're looking to try and sandwich Edge. Big damage coming in from the Paddle Star, as now Hybrid trying to get himself out to the side. He's very happy with his Death Dance pickup, but is he still going to burn down? No. It's going to be the cow hitting the dust first as Aegis is going to fall, making it a 1-for-1, but that's 80 carried down for Kongdu Monster. They're still trying to find more, and Pale comes in, but that's a big triple knockup coming in for Wufei. That's just not enough. They are too far behind. 11,000 gold for Kongdu Monster now.
Yeah, that was a full disengage from Hybrid. He was able to Q and get enough life vamp to get around 50% health, but he wasn't going to continue to fight. They have 2 inhibitors down. They didn't even have a lot of time to fight either, because soon the minions will start to become winions. Yeah, as they're trying to keep this inner turret up for some reason, and they have to reset. This is the furthest from their problems, whether they keep up their inner top lane turret.
Yeah, it's an Everett whoopsie at the moment as far as staying underneath that inner. They need to send themselves back and help out with Hybrid clearing out these minions, because there's only one Nexus turret, and that is actually super relevant, because if they leave any time for these super creeps, they will tear that apart and take down the Nexus for themselves. Kongdu Monster easily able to grab that inner turret, given the man advantage, given the options that they had despite losing their 80 carry. Never 8 winners. It just feels like they're circling the drain right now.
Problem with the Malzahar pick in this draft is that Malzahar's very good against Zoe if you can play through the lane. Zach couldn't really even play League of Legends. He had no access to his camps because of the draft, really empowering the Skarner. And now you just have a late game Malzahar after all the nerfs that isn't doing much, and Hybrid can't carry the entire burden of his team's damage.
And Edge as well, having another one of his brilliant Zoe games. 100% kill contributions, 4-0 and 6. You could not ask for more from the man in the mid lane. Kongdu Monster just tightening the screws, trying to pick up what they can. Hybrid having to wave clear off to the side. He will have a bunch of money coming in, but there's way more for Kongdu. They tear apart the base of Everett.
Watching the top side, looking for this 3rd inhibitor turret to come down. Those barrels doing real damage.
Yeah, Sol's going to pop back in. There's the Grand Entrance of Quickness coming down as well. Cannon Barrage has to be avoided by the tank of Everett winners. He is going to call down the Call of the Forge Guard, but it gets a couple of knockups for a disengage, and that's not what they want to use that ultimate for at all.
Yuma has to back away. They know they'll lose this turret eventually, trying to get one more trip to the shop and also heal in. If they can make an engage happen. Kongdu Monster tanking it up for a moment before the minion wave arrives.
Yeah, still a few buttons on cooldown here for Kongdu Monster, so don't want to be too aggressive, but Roach runs pretty damn fast with his Phantom Dancer as well as being able to break his barrels and move forward. Sol grabs himself a red buff, still feeling sheepish from that face check.
Still over 6,000 gold in the inventories there that hadn't been spent. Now they will feel the brunt of the 11,000 gold lead that Kongdu have. A lot of options for them. They'll feel like even though there were those concerns of being outscaled when it comes to a front line, a massive gold lead that we know is the tune of 11,000 gold, and their run of the map means that the game extending for another 5 minutes probably doesn't affect whether they win or lose. It can happen. The situation can be a fight where this now 3.5 item Kai'Sa can overtake, but I look at it and say, probably need that Infinity Edge, probably needed it as soon as possible, and actually making it happen seems pretty impossible.
Well, especially when Secret is going to be able to grab the catch. Good use of the stopwatch to stop the damage onto onto Wu-Fei, but oh, I don't know whether it's going to be enough. Call of the Forge God comes down, in goes Kuma. This is the team fight that they really want to find, as the Kidnap doesn't get anything. It's Hybrid that is going to be able to take down the Skarner, but my god, the damage coming in from Edge as well as Soul in the backline is huge. The Blade Caller is going to get some snares, and Roach, he might fall. Yeah, oh my goodness, Hybrid getting work done. Edge now trying to answer back, but can he actually pop over? Killer Instinct was already utilized. Ever8 winners actually find themselves a winning trade.
They make the 2 kills happen, but you can see the minions are pushing onto the exposed inhibitor in bot side. No recall is going to be allowed. 3 people able to stop them. This should be the inhibitor dying again. Then these minions are going to get that distracted.
Well, Super Creep is still bonking on it.
He got distracted.
No. He's very confused. Does turn around and give it one last shot.
Smart play from Kongdu, even as a 3. Flash away, worried about the Killer Instinct. We know the cooldown was actually a lot longer, but estimating that when you don't see as much Kai'Sa with all the bans becomes tricky.
Yep. The Void Seeker can
Winions
potentially be a problem.
really need to be answered.
Yeah, and Sun is going to be up in 1 second, so now they'll be able to possibly sort that one out, but Kuma maybe a little bit late to this party as Kongdu Monster, they know that they can now take down this Baron pretty comfortably because there's no jungler to speak of. Raze is there, Hybrid trying to get something back is okay. Wu-Fei was going for the Call of the Forge God steal, but doesn't happen. They still trade it for something, Mountain Drake. It's not all a problem, but that's now 2 mountains and a cloud for Ever8 that are going to do absolutely nothing this game.
Pretty hard to find a silver lining for that particular bag of rubbish you were referring to.
Yeah.
Mountain Drake for Baron is a feels bad man when it comes to picking up a 1-for-1. Now the Baron is being worn. It's 35-minute amped up Baron as well. Pushing into top side. Can they recreate that fight? They're going to try.
They're going to do their best. Hybrid actually does have his Infinity Edge built, so he's got a lot of damage as now the engage comes in. There's the Nether Grasp, but a great position on this Cannon Barrage. The Kidnap comes in from Kuma, but Raze is going to go golden. Keeps himself alive, and the inhibitors are going to fall one after the other, quick succession, and the base is going to be in shambles. Still half the health bar on this Nexus turret as Kongdu are playing so respectfully to Ever8 winners, almost to a fault here in the late game.
You do see how the game is very different when Kai'Sa's facing a lot of threats on the enemy team, because she can't continue to fight in their face and get supercharge refresh because she has to respect enemy damage, and she could die. Very different game. Some of those multiple tank games that Prey was able to fight through. Trying to see Hybrid actually pop off. We haven't really seen that in this game.
Well, he has managed to get a lot of the kills here for Ever8 winners, but he's still doing some work. 1,000 gold in the lead, actually, against Soul, which is crazy given the magnitude of this lead, and they are going to continue fighting. So there's the double knock-up, another Kidnap to come in, the Nether Grasp. This is exactly what Ever8 winners want, as the health bars are so low. The double knock-up again to follow up, and Hybrid's trying to get the work done. Soul, he's burning down Hybrid, just chasing after Edge. Good dodge to come over to the side, but the Paddle Star and the Sleepy Trouble Bubble aren't going to land. Okay, Kuma's going to come in. They've got nothing remaining here in the base, but at least the Super Creeps are going to get dealt with.
I saw blue minions around an exposed Nexus. I didn't know it will be still full health. That part is going to be alleviated, but you can see the problems for Kongdu. We're getting to some of that SKT Jin Air territory. Where actually closing the game is getting tricky. We wondered if Hybrid would ever truly pop off. Finally, the puddle damage from the Malzahar ultimate's doing good. AoE. Finally, Hybrid comes in with just shields of his own to start this fight. An instant double kill by the Ornn of all people. But we know the damage burden was largely shouldered by Hybrid. Couldn't quite get 5 kills, but getting closer.
Yeah, the Supercharge was doing so much work, and you mentioned the shield from the Killer Instinct really helping out. It is a 6-item gangplank now for Roach, though. If anyone stands on a barrel, they're probably dead. And Edge is continuing to build item after item. Void Staff will be coming in next, and we're 5 items on Soul, who just needs a Lord Dominic's Regard or a Mortal Reminder to really put the last few items into his back pocket.
Kongnu Monster need flashes, I think, to win a team fight, because their problem becomes that now Kuma and Wufei, 60,000 gold in, are really hard for Zoe to do anything with it, interact with it all. Gangplank's trying to fish for damage, but also dying in the front line. And then Xayah doesn't have a lot of peel, so she's trying to damage. And we already mentioned that front line is tanky, so Hybrid, with his ability to reposition again and again with the killer instinct, getting a lot of value in this game so far.
Yeah, you mentioned Kuma not taking a lot of damage. He took a paddle star there, but you wouldn't have known it. The Sun's going to come over. At least he's going to be able to get the Malefic Visions on top of these creeps and can actually leave the area relatively quickly. But look at this. The super creeps starting to pile forward, and Kongnu Monster just playing the slow game.
They have to walk up, though. Otherwise, the minions are going to be extra gold to Hybrid and friends.
Yep, they've got all of the ultimates on the side of Ever 8 winners. They can recreate another team fight like they managed to do before. If they can get into the right positions, it's all going to be about what Wufei can do with this Call of the Forge God as Hybrid avoiding the sleepy trouble bubbles, thankfully, with all the minions that are moving in.
No flash on Edge, no flash on Soul. Rest of Kongnu Monster have it, and Malzahar's is up as well. So looking for some cooldowns to be down, and then maybe we could see an engage. Hybrid takes a little chunk, but can lifesteal up.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Death's Dance actually meaning that he is going to be A-OK.
On the bot side, seeing just some incidental damage.
Forge God, can they get the knockups? They get a couple here, as there's the headbutt pole, but that's only on to Raze. Aegis having to run away as well.
Hybrid
and in
alone.
goes Hybrid. He's trying to do what he can, but can he even get out of this one? No, he can't. It's going to be Soul that locks down the kill, and that should be the game now for Kongnu Monster. Ever 8 winners. It was heroic towards the end, but the double kills, the kills flowing through from everyone. There's one that gets back for Sun, but he's now in the death chamber, and the Nexus is going to be finished. 40 minutes is what it took for Kongnu to close it out, but Ever 8 winners eventually fall.
They just about dot the I's and cross the T's, but it was close. You could see that the 5v5 was getting trickier and trickier, and the gold lead was meaningless. But right at the end, it's all about that decision. As all the pressure amps up, as the super minion waves were starting to amp up, Hybrid walks up. The team wasn't there to support him. They weren't all on the same page. Hybrid goes down, so does Ever 8 winners. We're closer to a result, but not necessarily going to be a 2-0 here. The difference between Ever 8, the 5th place team in Challenger, and Kongnu Monster, our 10th place team in the LCK, it is not 5 spots.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And we know that Kongnu Monster are very good at being a 1st or 2nd place Challenger team. That is something that they have certainly sorted out. Mostly 1st places, actually, if you look back through the history books. But now, seeing themselves one up in this best of 3, Ever 8's really going to have to claw onto whatever they can find to get themselves in with another shot to make it through to the LCK. Kongnu's certainly not out of the woods just yet. If they win this next game, they will have to go up against one of either Griffin or MVP, depending on who wins on Thursday.
Blue and red side decision will be very interesting to see. Kongnu has that choice for game number 2.
Yeah. Well, guys, we are going to go to a short break. When we get back, that deciding game 2, or are we moving to game 3? We'll find out soon.